Adam is on a well-earned vacation, so he's not with us today. Mr. Bear is still trying to master how we work the microphone system. So, yeah, remember, if you want to talk or be recognized, to push the button. If the light is green, it means too many of us have the button pushed, so you have to wait till it turns red, although that seems counterintuitive, but that's just the way it goes. All right, approval of the consent agenda. You should have received the minutes of the board meeting of June 18th and claims and the financial report. So is there a motion to accept the consent agenda?
So moved.
Is there second? So moved and seconded. Is there any discussion, any comments, any questions about the consent agenda? Seeing, hearing none, if you'd please take the roll.
John Weikart.
Yes.
Doug Bruce.
Yes.
Jeff McKim.
Yes.
Joyce Poling. Jay Bear.
Yes.
Jim Silberstein.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Item number 3, treasurer's report. Mr. McKim, do you have a treasurer's report?
Nothing to report.
Excellent. Item number 4 is the president's report. This is new to the agenda by your popular demand that you would certainly want to hear from me each month in a special part of the agenda. Actually, I added it, and some months it will be used, some months it won't, but I wanted to have a placeholder so I could report to you any actions that I had taken since our prior meeting on behalf of the board, as you've authorized me to do. So there are 2 matters that I want to bring to your attention today. One is that since our last meeting, we have been required to have insurance coverage, builder's risk insurance coverage for our project. So on the 30th of June, I signed an application for Hanover builder's risk insurance, and then on the 9th of July, I signed the premium to pay for that insurance, and that premium was in the amount of excuse me, $65,251. So we were required to have this builder's risk insurance. There was some urgency that we get it signed off, and then we have the coverage in place as we're moving forward with construction. So that's the one item I wanted to report. The second item I want to report, excuse me, is that you are going to hear from Mr. Noggle when he talks about bids and where we are with contracts, that there are 11 packages, I believe, that are going to be dealt with this week in terms of awards. 6 of those contracts are to union contractors. 5 of those contracts are to non-union contractors. So I was asked to review, as contractors are entitled to do, exemptions from our pre-qualifications. And remember that we have pre-qualifications as a board, separate from our qualification requirements. Weddle has qualification requirements. So I reviewed our part of that and the exemption requests that were made by contractors. And contractors made those exemption requests identical to the exemption request that was approved at our last meeting. So the contractors who applied for exemption applied for it because they were not large enough, they don't have a large enough employee workforce to have an apprenticeship program. And as you recall, at our last meeting, that was the exemption that was approved in one of the other GMP bidding processes for site development, site activity. I just want to mention that when I look at these requests for exemptions, and all the exemption requests that were requested were all for that purpose, and they were all approved. What I'm looking at is, first of all, consistency, fairness, consistency, and is it equitable to approve this exemption? Is it consistent with what's been approved in the past? And in this case, all of them were identical to the exemption requests from a previous GMP. So I wanted to report that out to you as well. And I'm happy to answer any questions you may have about either of those things, either the risk insurance or the exemption request. Mr. Bear.
Just one of the risk insurance, was that in the original pro forma budget, or is that a new development?
Deb, Jeff, the risk is the insurance was it already built into our insurance or into our budget?
We didn't have it specifically called out, but it is part of one of the normal pieces of the puzzle. there are two different ways to do builder's risk. You can either have the contractor, in this case, Weddle would carry builder's risk, or CIB could carry it independently, which is why we don't specifically call it, because there's two ways to do it. In this case, after some conversation, actually with the risk manager at the city, there's a recommendation to carry builder's risk for the CIB. So we have taken that from our contingency to identify the 65-ish thousand.
Okay, any other questions? Be happy to answer. All right, seeing and hearing none. Let's then move on to item number 5, utilities. And I want to point out that there are 2 bullets under this utility, point number 5, that are being removed from the agenda. One is the application for tap and connection fees. The other one is a request for approval of additional design services for sanitary line. The application for tap and connection fees, we may be back on our agenda for the 30th, but we're not prepared to do that today. So that leaves the remaining 3 bullet points. And the first one is maintenance of traffic plans by phase, and it's got both Weddle and Mr. Riggert, I believe, are both, anyway, they're parenthetically involved in this report. So whomever's going to make that report.
Let me just identify, this is a follow-up item from the last meeting. So there was a request to learn more about how the maintenance of traffic is signed, and some of it you may see as you drive around. So but this is a follow-up. I will note also the changes in the agenda. There's sort of one common theme here is all the work associated with the CBUs. So more to come on that.
Okay. And would you please identify yourself for the record? You might want to grab that microphone, and then that'll shut the rest of us up.
Go. Okay. Think I'm good.
Yeah.
Okay. So, as everybody could see on their way in today, we actually have started the MOT plans. This is phase 1. So phase 1 is going to be, at least pieces of this will never change throughout the duration of the project. So the turn lane over here on Walnut being closed down is being implemented now. That will remain the same. The 3rd Street South Lane enclosure or closure will remain the same. And then we'll have some variances as we do the connector portions. There'll be 2 closures for that to College. Then we'll have some median changes up here on 3rd Street that will change. And then outside of the existing convention center, we're going to do some site improvements. So sidewalks, curbs, asphalt, those types of things. Again, this plan right here that we're implementing today will be in place until January timeframe. At that time, we will switch over and we are going to be ready for the foundations. Actually, it'll be, yes, here we are. So we're going to do foundations, structural steel, pour the elevated decking, and detail out the connector. So there's going to be a 2-week enclosure-ish around that time. Following that, we'll open the road back up, fall back to our initial phase plan to start doing our interior or exterior improvements, structural steel, detailing on the exterior of the building, so boom lifts, things like that. And then later next year, again, you'll see the renovations to the sidewalk and exterior near the existing convention center, and then the median changes. Once we get to the latter part of next year, we'll fall back, have our turn lane still shut down, our southbound lane on 3rd Street shut down, and then barricades along the curb line over here on College so that we can still get the through traffic while we button up our exterior improvements, detail the facade, roofing touch-up, planters, and such. So again, we're looking at the next 6 months or so of the phase that we're implementing today to remain in place. So. Yeah.
Yeah. Any questions about the maintenance of traffic plans?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, Mr. McKim.
Yeah, just asking about the sidewalks.
Mm-hmm.
When do you expect the sidewalks to be fully usable with respect to the bypass, the temporary sidewalk?
Okay, so the temporary sidewalks, as far as this initial plan, will be this week. So we're going to hope to demo tomorrow, Friday to pour, Monday we will open that up. At that point, we will set the interior fence that designates that walkway. We didn't want to do that prior to these ramps. So we plan on starting that tomorrow, being done with it Monday to be open.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Any other questions? Yeah, Mr. Baer.
Just a minor point. I know we're going to talk about communications here a little bit further down the agenda, but when we get to these phases, insofar as these will be distributed publicly, I know the dates indicated there are work days, but they're not calendar days. And so regular people are going to look at calendar days. That's not 144 days. It's actually much longer than that. And in phase 2, 3, 5, 7, it's even more of a stark contrast. So if we're going to publish this, I suggest we publish calendar days because that's what real people will think.
Yes. And I'm glad you mentioned that whole issue of communication because it is something we're going to deal with and something we'll move forward rather aggressively towards. So any other questions? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda, Comcast easement. And Mr. Riggert is standing there waiting patiently, so I'm going to turn it over to him.
Okay, so we have an easement from Comcast, and it's similar to the one that we have for Duke Energy. They both follow the same path from the crossing, like so when we relocated utilities, everyone was overhead down the center of the alley, and now we're relocating them from this point here up and through here, and then back out and around. So they're all in the public right of way around here, but this section down here is a vacated alley and is ours, and everything starts at this point. So Duke Energy had an easement through here, Smithville has an easement through here, and now Comcast will have an easement through there. All in the same, they're in the same group of conduits that Snedeker has in place currently. So we have an easement document from Comcast that describes that, and then they actually have the exact same map as Duke Energy currently in that.
So just a couple of quick questions. So this easement is identical to the other two easements that we've approved, which were Duke and Smithville, if I remember correctly?
Yes.
Language in them the same?
That I don't know the legalese of it to tell you if it's exactly the same or not. But
Okay. So as in those other two, we've approved them. We've moved them on to the building corporation for signature.
correct. Yes,
But this is the same process we've used for the other two easement, and they're going through the same area. Is that correct?
that is correct. Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any questions for Mr. Riggert about the Comcast easement from members of the board? Okay, let me then see, let's have a formal motion to accept this easement, and then we will forward it to the building corporation. So is there a motion to approve the easement?
So moved.
Is there a second? Motion and a second. Any discussion of that? Okay, would you take the roll, Mr. Paris?
John Weikart,
Yes?
Doug Bruce,
Yes.
Jeff McKim,
Yes.
Joyce Pauling, Jay Bear,
Yes.
Jim Silberstein.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Riggert. Next item is because we've removed the item on the connection fee, so the next item is the 24-inch sanitary main reroute update from JS Held.
Yeah, this will be short and sweet. We continue to have lots of conversations between us and the design team and the city of Bloomington through CBU. We're not quite there yet. I know we had a lot of conversation last meeting, but just know it is ongoing. Discussions every day. And if all goes as planned, we hope to have a full report for you at the next meeting on the 30th.
Okay, thank you. Any questions about that matter?
And I would just say the next item is the same boat as it will go with the CBU report, the next CBU report that we have.
All right, so now we've moved on to item number 6, which is construction, and that is Weddle Brothers. And I believe Mr. Noggle is giving that report.
Yes, Josh Noggle with Weddle Brothers. Sharing my screen here. There we go. Okay. Just to give a quick overview of what happened on June 26th, the bids that we received. There were 11 packages, as was mentioned earlier. And so this just gives a quick summary of the number of bidders, that was included with each package. So as you can see, okay.
Well, at least we weren't being porn bombed as we were in one of our. Okay. Yeah, that was strictly a coincidence, Mr. Bear. Strictly a coincidence.
Okay, so I think as you can see here, we had good participation across the 11 packages that were received. Just a high level of the budget for each package on the left side, and then the number of bidders. I tried to make this the least amount of an eye chart as possible, but it's still a lot of information. So the green lines signify the contractors and the amounts for their base bid that we're recommending to award. So just a quick highlight on the right side of the slide there. So the estimated budget that we had going into bid day for these packages was just a little over $22 million. And the recommended value you're going to see on the next slide is just under 16.5 million. So there's a couple things that attribute to that, and I just want to point that out. That obviously a good competitive market helps with the pricing, but also I want to highlight the efforts between the Weddle team and the Schmidt team and the design consultants to really hold the design tight through the process and get us to a point where we felt comfortable with the budget. And then also we did pull some protective alternates out of that budget, that $22 million. So there's quite a few factors that go into that. It's a positive that number is that far apart, but there's some reasons for that too. So I just want to highlight that it's been quite the effort to get this far, but the competitive numbers helped us get in a good spot. So one thing I do want to highlight here, the last package at the bottom right corner, the AV systems. So we did highlight New Era, which is about $15,000 higher than Force Tech. And just with Weddle's review, New Era had a very comprehensive scope. They were coordinated very well with Electric Plus as the electrical bidder. And so that coupled with there were some errors on Force Tech's bid form that they filled out. And so we felt Weddle's recommendation would be to go with New Era in this case, even though they're not the low dollar bidder. So before I switch, is there any questions just based on this information?
Just for further clarification, if I may, if I remember correctly, and I don't want to misstate this, so jump in and tell me I don't know what I'm talking about. The Force Tech bid, they had made some changes to the scope of the work on the bid form itself.
Yeah, they had struck out some of the items that we had listed in the scope of work, and then they did not sign or acknowledge or notarize their bid form either.
Yeah, so there were errors both in terms of they were making changes to what we were asking for, and then it wasn't notarized or properly attested to. So
Correct.
Yeah, I just wanted to add that clarification.
Yes.
The other clarification I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you.
I'm sorry.
When you finish, I have a question. But
Okay, John, were you finished?
With this slide, I have two more slides, but
Okay, then I'll stop. Mr. McKim, you had a question?
yeah, actually, I'm curious about the roofing. There's such a spread between the low and the high, and even the high is substantially below budget. I'm just curious if you have any insight into that.
Well, when we started budgeting the project, that's when all the green roof, how much green roof, what are the parameters that we're really going to have to put in to satisfy CBU requirements. And so the budget, I think, is a best guess at that time, which, that was back in, I believe, February. When that was presented. So there's been a lot of iterations to the design since then. Now with the actual scope of work, the design, with the variance in bidders. So roofing is an interesting scope of work. We've seen over the past couple of years a large spike in the numbers where it was up to around $40 a square foot for roofing, and now we're seeing it come back down to 15 to 20, even under. In this project here, it's a large enough roof that I think you get some economy of scale that gives a better price. We had with each of these bidders in the green, we had full scope vetting sessions, went through to make sure there were no errors, that they understood, the constraints of working on the site. So we're comfortable even with that variance. Weddell has a long history of doing work with Steve's Roofing here in town. So once again, they check the boxes for us in that process. So
Okay, thank you.
okay.
Mr. Bear, you had a question?
I just want to reiterate what you said earlier, that approximately half of these bidders came in under the union designation and approximately half did not.
Yes. In fact, if you want to look up on the board, the contractors who asked for the exemptions included engineering facades under the facade system, Steve's Roofing, is it Couch Glass?
Couch
Glass, and inline painting and New Era. Those were the ones that were granted the exemptions. The others are union contractors. And Josh, maybe you're going to get, I'm sorry, was that all, Mr. Bear?
Just as a related topic, Josh may want to add which of these are Bloomington-based businesses.
So I can go through the list here. E&B Paving under asphalt is local. Steve's Roofing under roofing is local. Electric Plus is local. The remainder are from Indianapolis.
And Josh, you may be addressing this in a slide you're about to put up, but before we get too excited about that $6 million, remember there are still packages that are still out there that we're still awaiting bids for. That'll be open the 22nd, I believe, of this month, and that'll be what will be reported back to us at our special meeting on the 30th. So before you jump on, gosh, there's $6 million. We're not finished yet. Okay, Josh, let me turn it back over to you.
It's okay. I will reiterate that point here in a minute, though. So yeah, here's the real eye chart. This is the attachment that will be in our contract amendment that outlines where we stand through the first GMP3 bid date. So right now, approximately 55% of the project is bid, and the budget is currently on track. So with this, we're requesting an award amendment of $19,607,953. And so on the left, that summarizes what goes into make up that 19.6 million. The first two line items, just at a high level, I know change order, we haven't even started yet and we already have change orders. So I just want to clarify what that really means for you all. So as GMP 1 and 2 had already bid, when the GMP 3 documents came out, there were some revisions to those early drawings. So this is a reconciliation for the MOT scope of work for an additional $47,000. Line item 2 is this 24-inch sanitary, which I would count this as a placeholder for the cost right now. And as we get through the next meetings, we can adjust that line item. But this would get us to where we could advance the work going forward. Because it's my understanding we will have to put the line in regardless of how it's paid for. I don't want to say if that's incorrect.
Yeah, the dollar figure may change.
It may change,
Right.
but
Yeah.
it's what we know right now.
Right. So so below that, then we get into the bid packages that we're recommending, the gray boxes or what's forthcoming. So on the 22nd. So $16 million in subcontractor packages. I do have a line bolded up there for a sales tax adjustment. As we went through the scope review for the glazing bid package, it was noted that they had sales tax included in their bid. So we immediately captured that value and would deduct that when we write their contract. So I'm highlighting that on here because the amount listed, the $2,917,000, would be what's publicly, presented on their bid form, but we would want to capture the sales tax adjustment now before they go to contract.
So they had erroneously charged a sales tax, and we don't pay sales tax, so we were able to take $70,000 out of that.
Correct.
Yeah.
Pays for half a pipe, the way I look at it.
Yeah. Well, I won't even.
It'll be 12-inch. You know,
Yeah,
it's fine. It's fine.
I have nothing to add. Nothing to add.
Okay, so everything below that's a calculation for contingency, the CM cost, and all the way down to Weddle's fee for a total of the $19.6 million for what we're requesting. And I believe that'll come here in a minute. So any questions on this?
Any questions? Mr. Bruce?
Less of a question, more of a statement, but what this shows and what I wanted to remind everybody is, you know, when we first started this project and we went down this route with Weddle, as we discussed different alternatives of how we would deliver this project. And what this shows you is that we are bidding the work, that the breakdown that Weddle takes this work and bids it out. There was some concern early on that we weren't getting bids or we weren't getting the best numbers. And I think you can see we're bidding it out and we're getting, some variation, but we're certainly looking for the best value for the CIB. And I think the process is showing that it's working quite well.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? So do we need a motion at this point to, so we need a motion to, and I want to make sure I'm stating this correctly, motion to approve GMP 3A. Is that correct? That's what we're looking for.
Yes, Amendment 4.
Amendment 4.
Yes.
Okay. Is there a second? Second. So moved and seconded. Any further discussion, questions, comments? Mr. McKim.
I guess I'd just like to hear from Deb. Are there any concerns or issues with?
Yeah, no, actually, we should feel really good about where we are and then cautiously optimistic about the remainder of the bids. I think we really don't know for sure until we get the rest of the bids in, but you're in a good position so far. Should feel really good. And again, just to remind everybody, we'll say it out loud, the request is for $19,607,953. That is Amendment 4. When you take everything you've approved to this date, plus the 19.6 million, that's how you get to the very bottom line on the screen, which is 29,361,325. So today, after this, assuming you affirm positively you want to move forward, it's just shy of 30 million, which have been committed to Weddle for the construction of the convention center, and more to come when everything comes in well.
And today we're approving the 19.6. Correct. Okay. And just again, I want to hopefully state this correctly, and Josh, you can correct me. The reason we have additional bids coming in on the 22nd is that we had multiple packages where there was only one bidder. And so we wanted to make sure that we threw a net out to make sure we could see if there were other bidders to see what we could come up with in terms of competitive bidding. So that's why some of these packages have been set back another week before they're going to be opened. Is that I'm stated correctly?
Yeah, that's correct. I did have one more slide.
Yeah, okay. I'm sorry.
No. It all goes together. So that and the packages listed up there are what's remaining to come in, and that's exactly why we made that decision to ensure we had competitive bids for all those packages.
So we have a motion and a second. So is there any further discussion or questions or comments? Seeing.
I just wanted to, Eddie Layton from Associates. I just wanted to make maybe the comment as part of the, as Josh mentioned, the bids that you guys were approving today as the base bid amounts. There are a whole series of alternates that we discussed as part of the total package. But I guess just to clarify, you guys are not approving those as part of this review because we don't have that total bid number in just to make sure the whole project is together.
So once we know what our numbers are after we get to this next phase, then we'll know, then we will move into looking if that allows us the latitude. We'll start looking at the alternates for the project and deciding what alternates we can and wish to fund.
And I presume, given this schedule, we would do that in our August meeting, or at least start to have those conversations if we are so fortunate to have a remainder of money to bring back some protected alternates.
Well, I'm hopeful that July 30th we're going to know the answer to where we are.
Or we could even fast forward a couple weeks
of our budget.
Yeah.
Then at that point, that allows us to know what then our budget is for funding the alternates.
Great.
All right. So I think it's time. Unless there are other questions, comments, discussion, I'll ask Mr. Parrish to take the roll.
John Weikart.
Yes.
Doug Bruce.
Yes.
Jeff McKim.
Yes.
Joyce Poling. Jay Bear.
Yes.
Jim Silverstein.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Item number 7, stakeholder and community communications. Well, that's a mouthful. J.S. Held. Yeah.
Sorry, thank you. There are many, many stakeholders in this community, and we know how important it is to make sure those messages are getting out to them. We know that there's a more intentional actions that need to happen that, so we're asking for some advice and counsel on CIB and actual involvement in that, and then we will work with them to make sure that is a plan is created and that happens. In the meantime, we're not doing nothing, right? We've got a flyer out. It was shared thanks to Talisha, who has a great network already. It was shared with that network. It's on our website. We encouraged the city and the county. We gave it to them, their comms people, to make sure that they're getting it out there. And of course, everybody who attended the groundbreaking or was invited also got notification. If you're not driving around it, you may not realize it is really starting. And so we've got a first piece out there, but there's more to do. Identifying those audiences. What's the timing? What's the cadence? How do we reach out to folks? And so that's what we're at.
And what I'm proposing that we will do is what we've done with previous processes, excuse me, and that is that we will ask J.S. Held to recruit, if you will, individuals to be part of an evaluation group who can put together this external communication plan. And so that will include Deb's invitation to some of our CIB board members. And perhaps at that point, that small group can decide whom else to invite as advisory members, as we did in our hotel process. So I will simply ask J.S. Held to move forward then with creating an evaluation group, inviting members of the CIB, no more than 3 of us.
Got it.
And then you can decide what other external stakeholders you want to invite to join this external communications evaluation group.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Any questions about that?
Yeah, is there actually a budget for communication, this type of communication?
There's not a specific line item for that, and I think it depends on how extravagant we want to get with communications. I mean, it is regular updates that we send out that could be relatively straightforward and may not need a specialist for that. If there is something that we want to do sort of a bigger campaign, then we would be advising the CIB to think about pulling that from the contingency as part of their contingency spend. Yeah, I think we really want to use and leverage this group to figure out to what level might be needed.
Yeah, and so would the CIB website be, and maybe this is a question for Mr. Bear, but would the CIB website be usable as a kind of vector for communication, something that we could?
Yeah, it absolutely is. It's the platform you've been using. It's the central location for all your CIB activities. So at a minimum, that's where you post it. But we really, in these cases, I always recommend we also leverage all of the other resources that everyone else has, right? And there's a following from the city. There's a following from the county, the news media, right? These folks have already got a lot of the communication pathways. And so let's leverage as much of those as we can so you're not recreating the wheel.
Oh, yeah, definitely. It's just always nice to be able to kind of drive them back, any comms back to some kind of central hub of information. So
exactly.
Okay, thank you. Next item, planning for non-construction activities.
Okay.
J.S. Held.
So, most of our discussions to date have all been about construction, and that is the majority of the money. That's where the majority of the money goes. In fact, more than the majority, it's almost 90% of the money that goes to construction. As with any big construction project, we spend time and most of the time on that first. But there are many other things that we need to pay attention to that now that construction is going and it's on its way, we need to talk about what we call FF&E, which is furniture, fixtures, and equipment, anything that's not attached to the building. So that would include tables, chairs, these linens, systems like AV systems that might hang in the ceiling, signage that if you've gone to conventions, there's these big signs that say, classroom A is this way. Those are the kinds of things that we're talking about. Art is a piece of it, but BEAD is working on art already. But we've got to make sure that we are thinking about those things, getting the right experts on board when we need them. And so to that end, again, we'll be seeking some input from experts, those who are interested in participating in that. In the FF&E, we use that term a lot, FF&E, fixtures, furniture, and equipment, but also the wayfinding graphics. Now, here is 2 occasions where we believe there is a need for additional outside consulting. And these items were identified in budget line items, but we are asking, there's a formal request for an approval here, and then just a request to use resources and bring internal, maybe external people to get involved. But the specific approval is for us, allowing us to issue a request for proposal for a furniture planning consultant and a wayfinding graphic design consultant as well. 2 independent companies very likely will do both things. So.
For the purpose of discussion, and let's just take them together, I'm looking for a motion to approve the creation of requests for proposals for furniture planning and wayfinding graphics design. So is there?
So moved.
So moved. Is there a second? All right. So now we can open that up for discussion. Is there any discussion about that? Mr. Baer?
What's the ETA for releasing this RFP and for securing bidders?
The intention is to try to probably look at somebody releasing it and still get them sort of, I'll say, targeted at least before the end of the year, because we really have to be prepared, right? So it's not too early to get them on board and start to get to those decision making, so that we have time for not only designing and planning, but also ordering, procuring, getting it manufactured, and having it ready to go by the end of next year.
As with hoteliers, construction companies, and other people that we've involved in this project, do we have a pocket list of potential participants in mind?
We do have a handful, including the gentleman sitting next to you, Schmidt Associates. They do.
We've had enough.
Yes. So we have a handful in each. I've worked with both for many years, and so I think we have 3 to 5 companies in each. But if you have contacts or if you've been contacted, let us know. Be happy to reach out.
Mr. McKim?
So I'm going to assume the answer to this is yes, but so furniture planning consultant, that's a thing.
It is. It is a thing. Yeah.
Tequila consultant, also a thing, Jeff. Just want to point that out, just for the record. Yeah.
Yeah. They help select. I mean, somebody has to pick it out. Somebody has to pick the colors that's going to work with everything. Somebody needs to say, do you want a lounge chair? We know you want these chairs to be stackable, but what kind? There's arms, no arms. There are many decisions associated with furniture. So if you are so lucky as a member to join us in this quest, you will find out just how many decisions there are. Keep in mind that as we get this feedback from those who are going to be involved with internal, external, everything comes back to the CIB for ultimately a recommendation through JS Held. So whether that's a contract for a planning consultant or design consultant, or if that is, we recommend you buy 2,000 chairs at this type. Again, all of those things have to come back to the CIB for final approval. So you will see it again.
And Mr. McKim, if it's any comfort, a furniture planning consultant is required to submit 5 items every week of something they've accomplished to justify their existence. So if we can approve authorizing JSL to move forward with a request for proposals for those 2 items, then we can talk about, again, ongoing involvement of how people can be involved in assisting with that. So is there a motion? Do we already have that? We already have it. So if there's no further discussion or questions, I'll ask Mr. Parrish to take the roll.
So wait, are we voting on a tequila consultant too here? Or is this, no, okay.
Then what would they bring?
Yeah, I wanted to think when I lost control of the meeting, but I guess you have to have something before you can lose it. So let's see. So I'll ask Mr. Parrish to take the roll.
John Wycart?
Yes.
Doug Bruce?
Yes.
Jeff McKinney?
Yes.
Yes.
Jay Bear?
Yes.
Jim Silverstein?
Yes.
And then the next bullet point under that is that JS Held again will create evaluation groups in these various areas, invite members of the CIB to participate in those activities, to reach out where helpful and get some other advisory members from the community if that's appropriate. So we will ask JS Held to do that as well.
Thank you.
And before I forget to do this, I want to acknowledge Peter Iverson, one of our county council members who's in attendance virtually. So Peter, thank you for being with us and for paying attention today. Item number 9, approval of annual budgets. Mr. Underwood, JS Held.
Good afternoon, Jeff Underwood, Controller, Assistant Treasurer. If you'll remember, last fall, Deb and I presented an overall construction budget to you and promised that we would give updates as needed with the promise that we would not exceed that total amount. So we did that last fall, then we did it again in February as we working with the City Council on selling bonds. So we're ready to make that next update. And at this point, I'll turn it over to Deb and let her talk about it.
Great, thank you. So the first column of numbers is the report that you received in February 2025 with a small $11 adjustment. The current budget in July of 2025 assumes that the full 52 million of the bond is going to somehow go through Weddle. In the end, as the final numbers are validated, that may adjust, but we think that's going to be used. You'll see to the right, it's just showing the differences, and there are many, many numbers that are under, right? This is a good thing. And you'll see some numbers that are over. In order to balance it, any line item that we are getting closer and closer to finalizing the exact line item, then that extra money moves in the contingency. And so if you're wondering, well, how could our contingency go up right now? That's how it's happening. And let me just give you a couple of examples. Utility connections, we had actually in February thought our maximum exposure was going to be for $600,000. And that's at the time that we were expecting to have to pay more on the utility side especially the external, not the city, but external. And so in the end, as we work with them, as we fine tune the design, many thanks to Mr. Bill Rickard's team, we know that we're really going to land just south of $350,000. This is a good thing for the CIB, and that puts us under $252,000 under where we thought it was going to be in February. Likewise, in the environmental, you may recall there was quite a bit of conversation about the environmental because there is soil out there that, while previously identified under a specific ordinance a specific requirement of the REC, it's called, out of IDEM. IDEM has now come back and said, no, you don't have to do that because the soils, they do change. Believe it or not, the soil makeup changes over time as things move through the soil. So here again, we originally thought our maximum was going to be $425,000. It is now going to be $200,000 because of the good work of our geotechnical testing agency and their relationship and working with IDEM. That's coming down $225,000. So you can see on the communications that, and just not to confuse, communications in this line item, we probably ought to put a describer on that, but this communications is really the like audio visual communications, microphones. It's things that are inside the building, not external communications like we were talking about earlier. So in our next report, we can define that a little bit better. But that's really where the AV, the IT, we need wireless access points everywhere, those things that the owner has to buy. We think that's probably going to be just a little bit more than we thought it was. Again, trying to be safe right now. So we see a couple numbers going up, but for the most part, things are going down. Happy to answer any specific questions you have, but hopefully those examples help.
As you look at this, any questions that you have for JS Held? Mr. Baer?
Because we have not yet attained the services of the much ballyhooed furniture planning consultant, it feels like the FFE budget is pretty wiggly at that point.
Yeah, we have done some initial, we have a whole list of the furniture, and really it's Talicia's team and Mary who get all the credit for putting together the initial list, and we've done some initial pricing on it. So we feel pretty good about the number. The planning, I'll say consultant fee is also in that number, right? So it's always important that we go into those scenarios with a planning consultant with a target. And so this is the number that we're going to go on in terms of our target, knowing that it might fluctuate a little bit. And that's why we have a contingency to deal with fluctuations. But it has changed over time, and we feel better. We've run early numbers.
Yeah, it's great. I mean, that's a big gap. That's the biggest one.
Mm-hmm.
It's great.
Mm-hmm.
One question, does that builder's risk insurance, does that take us to the end of the project, or
Yes,
is that, it does? Okay.
It's the full.
Any other questions? All right, so are we back to you, Mr. Underwood?
Yeah. Just quickly on, is that just a reminder that the budget, the $70 million budget, takes us through the end of 2027, so it's a multi-year budget. As we move along, this spring, the city sold bonds in the amount of $50 million. They'll earn some interest income on that makes up the $52 million construction budget. And then we do an annual budget out of food and beverage tax dollars that the city collects that they've committed to this project. So each year we make a presentation to you all of what we think the next year's budget needs to be for food and beverage tax monies. And then in August the 20th, we will present to the city council during their budget hearings. We will then get a resolution from the city council to the Food and Beverage Tax Commission. They'll do their review. If we get positive approvals on those two steps, it goes back to the city council for final adoption of the overall city budget. And just a reminder that our budget gets rolled into the controller's office budget, but it gets approved as a part of that process. So what you see here is the 2026 request that we're asking your approval for today so that we can move it forward to the city council. No big surprises. The operating is on the left, starting with $1,000 for supplies, $216,400 for legal and controller fees, owner's rep fees of $250, the insurance, website maintenance and design of $2,000, and then the other, which makes up the big part of that. And those are the costs that Deb just talked about that we believe we will need for this year and next year in that request. So the total request, $8,958,017 that we're asking for your approval here today. And we're happy to answer any questions.
Mr. Baer.
On the previous slide, we looked at the FFE as 3 million. Here it's 2.6. So are we saying that the other 400,000 in FFE would be for this building when it's renovated in theory? Because this is 26 versus 27.
Yeah. So from a timing perspective on FF&E, there's a payment you make up front before they start manufacturing it, right? And then there is a payment that you do after that. So we think some of that will happen really at the end of 2026, but there's going to be other things that happen in 2027. So that's really the balance of it will come in 27.
Yeah, so we'll be back next year about the same time and for the last year of this overall budget.
And it's it's a large sum, but 2026 is when the majority of the activity is going to happen. The project activity is going to happen. Mr. McKim, did you have a question?
Sorry, thank you. So just because I know this always gets confusing with contingency. There's also a contingency within the construction fund that's separate from this contingency. Is that correct?
Yes, within the 52 million, there's an assumption. Round numbers, it was about 5% and 5% back in February, right? So 5% within the bond, 5% in the food and beverage. And so that was where it was in February. The contingency, as you can see from the numbers, is a little bit higher now as a total percentage. But yes, part is in the bond fund and part is in the food and beverage fund.
Thank you.
Other questions before we have a motion to approve this so Mr. Underwood can take it to the through the city's process? Any other questions? All right, is there a motion to approve this budget proposal? Is there a second?
Second.
All right, any further questions or discussion? Seeing none, Mr. Paris, would you take the roll, please?
John Weikart,
Yes.
Doug Bruce,
Yes.
Jeff McKim,
Yes.
Yes.
Jay Baer,
Yes.
Jim Silverstein.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
So you have what you need, Mr. Underwood? All right, very good. Item number 10, hotel update. I saw Jane Cooper-Smith, maybe miss her. She's not here. Jane and I did communicate before the meeting. I asked her if there was any update that she wanted to provide for us this month. She said things are still moving forward and there weren't any more specific details than that to provide for us. So I'll make that report on her behalf. Item number 11, old business. Any old business to be brought before the board? Seeing none. Number 12, new business. Any new business to be brought before the board? Seeing none. Comments from board members? Any comments from board members? I would only like to briefly say, as one board member, how pleased I am with how this process has been moving along and the budget implications of it and what an excellent job everybody has done holding us to the budget. We know we're not going to exceed it. So we appreciate all the effort that's gone into this from the design construction team and our owner's rep and all those involved. So thank you. Comments from the public, number 14, any comments from the public? If anybody has any, they can have a 2-minute period of time. Any comments from the public? Yeah, I don't see any. Next meeting dates, special meeting actually will be on July 30th rather than May 30th, although that's what we put on our original agenda. So May 30th, 3 p.m., same place, this room, and we'll deal with the next part of our bids that come in, and then our regular board meeting August 20th at 3 p.m. I want to thank Marquis for their assistance again today, their technical assistance. And with that, you don't have to go home, but you can't stay here. We are adjourned.